Do you know what? I am loving doing this podcast. We're a few episodes in. It's called Nailing It, and it's all about the people that, in my opinion, have nailed it at life, in business, whatever it might be. But not just that, not just sharing those stories, those people that I get to meet doing the Guide Liverpool every day. Also kind of sharing inspiration for you so you can nail it too in whatever, in work, in business, in setting up your own thing, or just in life in general. I'm with someone today who's nailed it for me, in retail, in art, in kind of making a name for herself in the city of Liverpool, in business. And she kind of had a talent in something completely different, but she created a business out of that talent and out of that hobby. That talent was art. You might know a shop. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you've walked past it, at least in Albert Dock. Hopefully you've been inside it as well. You can't really not go inside it because the front is always so inviting. And it's such a beautiful little shop in the Royal Albert Dock. It's called The Nest. And I'm with Kath Caldwell. Kath, I'm made up that you're on today.
Hi, Jake. I'm tearing up a bit.
She's one of the seriously one of the nicest people I know, and you'll know what I mean by the end of this podcast. We're going to speak to Kath about how she set up The Nest, the day-to-day challenges she faces in terms of running a retail unit in such a thriving area of a busy city. Also, a love for the things she sells and just life in general. So we got loads of advice and tips to come, Kath.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope I can say something useful for the creatives out there.
I'm sure you will. I want to know firstly about you, about your background, and what kind of first started leading you towards launching your successful business.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go back too far, but if we're honest, I was always that arty kid in school. So even from, primary school, secondary school, I did GCSE art, A-level, that usual thing that the arty kids do. Then I realised, this is the only thing I can think of really that I want to do for a living. So I decided to do a foundation course. So at the Liverpool Community College, I did the art and design foundation course there. Then I went on to university, so John Moores University. There was nowhere else I wanted to go for uni. I wanted to stay right here in Liverpool and go to that, that uni in that gorgeous building on Hope Street, which was an absolute honour. And I loved every minute of it. And that was where I really kind of learnt my craft. And there I kind of did a business course after that. Thankfully, the university provided that as well. So that was a very short business course. And that helped me really concentrate on what I did want to do within the creative industries. And then, from there, as you know now, I sort of ran a series of pop-up shops as well. Once I'd established that I wanted to have my own range of products. I wanted to illustrate my products myself. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I did want to work for myself. I wanted to have that kind of ownership over what I did and decide what I could draw. And once I had those core products, that was when that developed then into, running pop-up shops. And then gradually now, I'm fast forwarding a good few years here, but where I have the shop at the Albert Dock.
And that's kind of the culmination, isn't it, of all of that? What a great end product. What a great goal to get to.
Yeah.
To have from them pop-ups and them original ideas and everything else, your own little base, your own little shining paradise.
Yeah.
In such a beautiful place as well in Liverpool.
Yeah. It's, when I think about it, because when you're actually in the doing part of it, you know this yourself, you're working up to something, you're working towards something all the time, and you're constantly ticking off these goals. Okay, I've got a customer base now. Oh, okay, I'm making a living from this. Oh, and then you don't really stop to think, and it's only now I'm stopping to think, I'm at the Albert Dock. I'm at this place that I used to come as a kid. We'd come in the school holidays and we'd walk around and I'd find little treasures and, try and convince my mum to, get me these little treasures that I'd find. And they were so special. I had special birthday parties at the dock as well. So it's something that's been with me and my family my whole life. And now I'm older, I can appreciate the heritage side of things, this beautiful Grade 1 listed building, everything that's done, everything it's been, the potential, seeing it now again reach its potential once again with the whole range of locally owned businesses that occupy it, these fantastic indie restaurants we have there now. And it's just so lovely to be there.
It's amazing. It's kind of the pinnacle in terms of location in Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, with being in the pinnacle, and we don't have to go into too much detail, I presume it's quite costly to be based somewhere like the Albert Dock.
Yeah, I mean, that's a question that you'd be surprised how many people do mention that. I get quite a lot from people that come in and say, oh, but it must be quite a lot to be here. One thing I would say is that I actually cannot fault the way that the dock is operated in that way. I think that the pricing is very fair. We pay a service charge as well at Albert Dock, which I'll be honest, I'm more than happy to pay, because that keeps it gleaming and beautiful. Whenever you go, you'll see there's always people with their little litter pickers, and we have the best cleaners. Going back to COVID, and the dedication of those cleaners every day. They cleaned every tiny speck of that place, which isn't easy to do. So I'm thankful for the whole team at the dock, and I realise there's a price that comes with that. There's a price that comes with being somewhere that does have that. I don't have the exact figures on me now. I should do, but those huge numbers of visitors that come every year. This iconic place, and what all I can say is that we find it affordable. It's somewhere where I can build a business. It's somewhere where the structure, when we first started at the dock, the terms were very favourable for us. It was done in a way where we weren't going to put ourselves under too much stress, but we could grow. So the dock has had a few different owners even since we've been there in the past 6 years, and what I found was that each time they've been willing to work with us since the new vision came about, which is why I joined. I was actually approached by the new owners like 6 years ago almost now, because they wanted to turn it once again into a hub for local people to come, not just tourists but local people as well. And they realised that a big draw for local Liverpool people is to support local Liverpool businesses. So, I was targeted to open a shop that sold the work of local artists, designers and makers, which has been my passion for a very, very long time. And they also approached then, we see now the likes of, Murray, Madre, Peabury's, Rough Handmade, Lost Souls, I don't want to leave anyone out, but the list goes on and on and on.
Locals.
Lots and lots of locals, and all I know is that they were having a really great time there. We can't fault it.
It's great to see that the Albert Dock is thriving. And the team behind it are doing great. So hats off to them. Let's go back to you and your story. So when did you realise? So obviously you're in uni. You're sketching stuff yourself. Then you're realising there's something in that I can sell this.
Yeah.
I presume there's got to be a level of, because lots of people can draw, can do, or it might not be an art, it might be another skill someone's got, but it's then how you think, I'm going to make money out of that. I'm going to make a business. I'm going to do well out of that skill, out of that love that I've got.
Yeah.
What was the moment that you realised that was going to be a thing?
I don't know if there's like an actual point where I thought, oh, right, I can make money out of this. I can make a living out of this. It was more just that drive to keep doing it, and the belief that, what I was making at the time had an audience. Now, of course, to do that, you have to test it. So markets were a great thing. Here in Liverpool, we've got some really, really great makers markets. At the time, St. George's Hall, they had a brilliant one. And so that was one of the first things I did. I took my products. I had these organic children's clothing with my animals on. They each represented a season, and that was my thing. And I had them on greetings cards and prints as well. And that first market showed me, oh wow, okay, I can do it. People are paying for these.
So this is a little market stall in St. George's. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So that gives you that buzz.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better, is there, than when you make that first little sale, even if it's a few quid.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, people want to buy into this. Like, this is unreal. I can actually progress this now.
Yeah.
So did you have in your head there that I'm going to open a dock and the shop in the dock? At that point, it was a shop on the cards in your head.
Yeah, I think it was always there, of course, in the back of my mind. What I did then was I then kind of progressed to the bigger shows. So I was doing the like Country Living tent, which is the Country Living magazine, their tent at the RHS Flower Show. So I was I went and I sold at trade shows. And so I started selecting some of these bigger shows to see if there was a bigger market for me. I always had that kind of bigger vision for it.
Yeah.
I could see myself having either a brand that was in some of the more high-end department stores, or even my own shop somewhere and establish, my own label in that way. So, I had a great opportunity. This is not to say that there are setbacks along the way. Of course, there are setbacks along the way. I had an opportunity that was presented to me after one of the trade shows, which was that my illustrations were picked to be in the film Bridget Jones's Baby.
Wow.
Now, at the time, I hadn't been doing this for very long, and it was all about to be signed off. And, my illustrations were going to be in the child's nursery. And then I got the message through that production had been put on hold, and it'd been put on hold indefinitely. And that opportunity was just not there anymore. So, of course, something like that, at the time I'd started to invest in preparation for there being this like big launch at the same time the movie was going to be released, and then it was just cut, and that was it. And then you have to sort of gather this strength then and remind yourself, okay, just chalk it up to it's an opportunity that's it would have been great, but there's plenty more to come. And you've just got to learn to be resilient in that way as well.
It's your first little setback, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's many setbacks. And the more you kind of continue your business journey, no matter what it is you're doing, I've probably had today already 10 setbacks.
Yeah.
If I would have had one 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, the world's over. It's finished. I'm not successful. I'm useless at everything I do. But it's all about them setbacks that make you grow, make you learn.
Oh, yeah.
Teach you, invaluable lessons, don't they?
Yeah. At the time, at the time, it does feel like so huge. And there's been so many different instances where there's things that you just don't want to have to deal with. And then do you know what you find when you've dealt with them? Oh, okay, you know how to do it next time, and it becomes easier and easier and easier. So, you've just got to really throw yourself into it. That's all I can say.
And who needs Bridget Jones anyway? Load of rubbish.
Yeah.
It is a good film, the first couple, but anyway. So opening your store. So you've been offered a unit now at the Royal Albert Dock. You realise that it's a gift shop, isn't it? Really, essentially, it's a gift shop with plenty of. You could buy a gift for anyone on any day of the year in there. There's so much in there.
Yeah,
homeware,
jewelry, candles, accessories, prints, photography. Oh my gosh, paper goods, crafts. Oh my gosh,
there's tons. There's so much.
There's so much.
But you obviously a lot of your stuff is sold. I'm talking the Liver Bird Christmas tree decoration.
Yeah.
The Liver Bird pin badge.
Yeah.
Tea towels.
Yeah, tote bags.
All beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really recognisable as Kath stuff. And if you've seen it, you'll know what I mean by that. But there's loads of other artists now that you celebrate in your store and you showcase and you sell. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I did come to appreciate over the years that I was doing the pop-ups and part of this creative community, particularly in Liverpool, is, wow, how talented our local people are. Like, it just became so much bigger than me and my ideas and my illustrations. And I very quickly wanted to also show off what other people were doing. So, we have got some just phenomenally talented illustrators, photographers, designers, just people with that eye for anything from how to make, a beautiful pair of handmade earrings with such skill that, has been self-taught. And I just find such joy in that, in discovering these people and putting them in front of our audience at Albert Dock, and then seeing the items sell, and then being able to go back to those people and say, quick, make another batch, because they've sold out. that is just for me the best job I could do.
And you can see it. You can see it in how you display those products and how you sell them as well. That passion for them is there as much as your own products. What's it like in terms of you choosing then, like a different artist, or how do you find them? Do they come to you? Do you go looking in markets and stuff? How do you find?
It's a bit of a mixture, really. So a lot, like I'd say there's several now that I've known for a number of years. And that is just from it's that market circuit. And, social media is great now for discovering talented makers and designers. People are so supportive as well locally in the creative community. So you'll often see someone who you follow, they'll share work from somebody else. You'll get someone who is an illustrator and they'll share the work of another illustrator who they've maybe bought something from, or a scarf that they've seen and they've wanted to share. And it's that sharing community that helps me discover what's out there. A lot of it, I go to markets still. We have some really, really great markets that just seem to grow and grow. Good markets, one I can definitely recommend people go to, and I'm more than happy to recommend that. For me, it's not like competition for the Nest.
Yeah.
For me, it's how the people that I support and that we support at the Nest, that is where they need to be. They need to be at these really great markets, sharing their work and, and being seen as much as possible and gaining that experience. So, I'll happily send people to them.
Day in the life of you at the Nest, running, essentially it's a retail business, isn't it? So you're working in retail now.
Yeah.
As much as, art and your love is still a big thing, you're a retail business owner. What is that like? What is it like kind of getting to grips with transactions, with price points?
Oh, wow.
How to sell, do you know what I mean? Because it's a world in itself, isn't it, retail?
Yeah. It's, oh gosh, it is a lot. And I have a lot of help. So I by no means do all this on my own. But I am you mentioned about how you display things in the shop as well. So I'm like the visual merchandiser, I'm the buyer, I'm the designer. You become a bit of an accountant as well, although I absolutely have accountants because I could not even begin to tackle all that. It is actually something, if I'm honest, that does come to me quite naturally. I don't know why it is, but it is. I think it's because I get to create my own little world. I get to be so creative in that space. That's my space, and I get to completely decide how it looks, what's in there. And so when you're curating, I suppose is the right word, when you're curating that space, it's the opportunities are endless.
Because you can be arty as well, so you can bring your love in the space and how it looks, like the shop window we got to talk about.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so recognisable now in Liverpool. And Sam Ryder, we got to mention him. Elton John's been on the front. You do the Christmas displays are incredible, and it's almost becoming a talkability thing.
Yeah.
Like the old George Henry Lee's front at Christmas. What will the display be? It's now what's the Nest display going to be?
Oh, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased because, I wanted to make sure that there's still that little bit of me that was creating something completely unique for our visitors. So there's always a different window. You mentioned the Sam Ryder window. So for Eurovision, I painted bigger than life size. It was meant to be life size. I got a bit carried away, and I added an extra.
Like the BFG by the end of it.
Yeah, I added an extra 3 feet onto his legs, I think, at the end. And he took over the window, flying through space in his spaceman outfit, and he became the backdrop for so many interviews. It was so nice to see all the different countries who were competing coming and holding their interviews in front of Sam and the acts. I'd see them getting the photos outside. It was so exciting. But yes, there is the very practical side of things as well for retail. So while I get to be hugely creative, I think I need that to kind of offset the more
taxing of jobs. Yes,
that's it.
I'm like this. Yeah. So I love the kind of content and I do bits of presenting, and I love jumping on the news side of what we do and all of that.
Yeah.
But the business side, sometimes, Kath, I'm just like, oh God, what have I got to do? I've got to check the books, and it's painful, isn't it?
It is. And I don't know if
it's got to be done. So you kind of need the light. You need the things you love.
You do.
To keep you going every day.
Yeah.
To get you. I call some of my tasks, remember in school you used to have double maths?
Yeah.
So there's certain jobs that I've got to do, and I'll say to the team, I've got double maths in there. But you've got to do them to get to PE or to history that you love. Do you know what I mean?
It's so true. And I sometimes do that. If I've got something I'm really looking forward to doing, then I'll do the boring stuff first. Because I think, well, at least I've got this fun thing to do at the end of the day. So I'll it's the accounts and just the organisational side of things. At the moment, we're in the process of sorting our new lease as well. So I've had to learn a lot about law, commercial property law. And these are things that, you don't necessarily think about at the time, but you can't let them phase you as well, because, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to learn somehow. You're not born knowing this stuff. So I just kind of entered it all with curiosity. I asked loads of questions, and that's all I can really say to people is just ask questions. Don't feel like you're meant to know all this stuff.
And none of us ever do know, and anyone listening now will know exactly what I mean. There's things that we haven't even touched the surface with the things that we're going to have to learn for our businesses. And I learn stuff every day, from tech stuff to really serious account stuff to you're learning all the time. And there's stuff that you think, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You're right, a little bit of reading and a bit of advice and a bit of Googling and stuff really does help, doesn't it? It
does. Just absorb everything that you can. Obviously I've had to learn now, you get to a stage where then you have to start learning about like VAT. The dreaded VAT. Oh yeah. I've got like 3 accountants that work with me at the moment. So that is something that I don't do on my own, but it's something we have to face. And with any growing business, that's been yet another challenge that you've just got to do.
You've got to do it. So I'm with Kath Caldwell, founder, sales goddess now, artist, creator, the Nest in the Royal Albert Dock, Liverpool, doing really well. Got a great website as well, Kath. You can check that out on socials, all over social media, aren't you? Yeah,
well, you're having like the exclusive kind of announcement of our new website that's soon to be launched. So one thing that I will totally admit is we've been slacking on the website. So that is going to have a big relaunch in about a month's time. So when you go on there, you're going to have like a whole range of the products that you find in store. You're also going to find them online and a few other things as well.
Nice.
That you can't necessarily get in store, but you'll be able to find online.
How's that been, that process, finding a website builder and working all that out? Has that been okay?
Well, yeah, this is something where this isn't going to be very helpful to other people because it's my husband that's doing it, so Peter's doing it. Yeah.
So we'll leave the website, but Peter, well done.
But well done, Peter, because he saved us a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what if you know someone, then get them in to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Social media, Kath, you're really big on social media. It's so important, isn't it? No matter what business you work in, what sector you're in, what you do to promote your brand, whatever it might be, whether you are a shop owner, a cafe owner, a plumber, a florist, a baker, whatever, you need to be on Instagram.
Yeah, that's it. Like for me, it's somewhere where I can tell our story. So for me, the idea of storytelling is really, really important in what we do because we've got so many things to share. We have the individual stories of the people whose work that we sell. And so I can sell their, not just their product, but I'm showing who they are as people. And that is something that is vital to the Nest, is that there are stories behind these products. So it's not just a necklace that has been made by Natalie. this is a necklace that's been made by Natalie in her home studio, less than a mile from the nest, by hand, through this, she has this incredible skill. She uses the finest fabric, and that is what you are buying when you come into the nest. Instagram affords the opportunity to tell that story in a very quick way. We know that people don't have that greatest kind of people don't want to watch.
You haven't got lots of time.
No, exactly. So people they need to just kind of have that information quite quickly, and we can share that nice and quickly for people. It's right there, and it tells you that little story straight away.
On Instagram, and you're really good at it as well. So if you're not following already, get on the Nest UK on Instagram and stuff. What are the biggest challenges you face as a business owner, as a shop owner?
I think anything that is a challenge is always going to come down to the finances.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I know, and I'm speaking in a more broader term now, for people who are creative, and something that my accountant said to me, if you imagine like a kind of diving board, so you've got all these businesses who are climbing up and up and up and up the diving board, up to about a turnover of about £85,000 a year, where the VAT threshold kicks in. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the diving board where it plateaus, and then it drops off at the other side. And what he means by that is that so many businesses don't survive past that £85,000 turnover because having to pay an extra 20% in VAT, which it's meant to be a tax on, is it a tax on you're collecting on behalf of the government. That's effectively.
Right. Yeah.
So what lots of people will find is that 85,000 becomes this very restrictive point, and lots of people get to that and think, and they've made a successful business. That should be a success once you get to that amount as a small business. But people are finding that when you creep over that, that's when the problems start. Yeah. So then you find in a gap till the turnover gets to closer to, I'd say, probably 150,000. And that's when things kind of become a bit more comfortable again. So that's something that we see a lot in the creative industries. It's people who, they build the businesses up and up and up and up. And then they get to this point of success. And then they're kind of thrown into this turmoil of, can we afford the VAT bill? And it's something that we've been through. It's something that we've had to navigate, and had to have lots of frank conversations with the accountants at the time. But then, you just have to work through it and use all your knowledge and the conversations that you can have from people who've been there, and just absorb that information as much as you can.
It's tough, isn't it, Vac? Because it's one. Well, at first for me, it was just I just couldn't get my head around it. I was like. And obviously knew it was coming, but when it did happen, I just didn't get it. Yeah. And even now, still to this day, every quarter, I'm like, you're taking out what?
It feels like you're having it's like you're being attacked.
It really is. And it's
personally.
It's so frustrating. And the worst thing, if I can offer any advice, is try not to let it get to you, because it's just a fact of life. It's the way. We can't get round it.
Change it.
And there's nothing we can do. And I understand at the minute there's loads of lobbying for the government for hospitality businesses and stuff, which is important. Yeah. But I think if you don't want to go, if you want to keep yourself sane, you've just got to kind of crack on. And for me, there's no right or wrong. There's no rhyme or reason with that.
No.
Some people say, well, put it away, put it aside, keep it. That's impossible to do. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. But you might be really organised and you might be able to do that. You'd be in a better position than others. It's just a bit shit, Kath. It is.
It really is. It really is. And you've mentioned about in the hospitality industry there, and I know we both have friends in the hospitality industry who are campaigning at the moment for that VAT reduction, which would be crucial. Yeah. And it is going to be absolutely crucial. We have politicians who think that supporting business is keeping corporation tax as it is. That's not supporting business as such. I mean, I think a lot of it is about, it's just kind of keeping up the status quo. It's not acknowledging that what business need is the support right at the point of...
Where they're starting to thrive is normally where you're starting to really struggle.
Yeah.
and that support isn't there for many businesses.
Yeah.
This is a podcast in itself, Kath, which we'd be here all day for. But it is a big challenge, and I see you for that, because a lot of people don't realise that how much that can impact your business and how you run things, how you do things. Cash flow is massively impacted by that.
Yeah.
Now, cash flow is a big thing in itself, and being kind of organised with cash flow, again, there's no rhyme or reason. It can be really difficult to do.
Yeah.
I know it from the garden, we know I'm learning how to manage it, but some days it is just impossible.
Yeah.
And you can't, there's so many other factors that come with cash flow. You'd never know what position someone else is going to be in. And
definitely,
again, we could go on, but I presume with a retail unit, cash flow, is it easier to maintain, to manage, or is it more difficult?
Well, it's actually because of the way we operate. So we tend to buy things from people who are very flexible with how often they can supply you. So that makes it much easier for us. So we don't have to buy in stock for the whole year, or we don't have to buy in stock for 6 months. So we do try to, the stock that we know that we need, that we always sell a lot of course, we will buy as much of that as we can in advance, because we want that to be available for our customers as readily as possible. But we do have flexibility in working with small independent creatives, because that then gives us the chance to then get on the phone and say, do you know what, we've sold out already. Is there any chance you can get a delivery to us next week? And quite often they'll be like, oh yeah, fine. But what I'm aware of as well is that we need to appreciate their cash flow.
Yeah.
So I'm always mindful of not being demanding in that way. So when we do, we will set commissions now as well, because I think I acknowledge and I understand very early on how important it is to have that cash flow at your disposal to get you going. So one thing that we've started doing is setting commissions for people and for businesses. So we will give them that injection of cash. We'll set the commission, and they've got that money then to then grow and develop and hopefully make a big success of their business. And we're able to do that. And that is why I do what I do. I don't do what I do to make massive profits or to become super wealthy. I do what I do because I just believe in our really skilled makers and designers that should absolutely be seen by as many people as possible and should be successful. And, we all want a thriving community. I think any of us that, like yourselves at The Guide, it is such a pleasure to see success in our fellow creatives. So many of us support each other and lift each other up. And I think Liverpool's so unique for that. I'm so grateful I get to work with people myself. I get to work with, Paul at the art school, and I do a lot of artwork with Paul. I've recently worked with Lexus and bringing things to them, like our local creatives, to work with them in their showroom when they have events on. So I'm showing people how you can actually incorporate that element of something a bit different, a bit special, and it'll be so well received by the people around you. One of the main reasons why I do what I do is because, and it's one of the reasons why I know, you guys at The Guide and why you're doing this podcast, it is because you acknowledge and you see the potential, and you see this community that we have out there of incredibly talented and people who are so accomplished and don't necessarily sing their own praises. They don't necessarily shout about it. And sometimes, I don't know why, but I take on this kind of responsibility. Like it's my responsibility to share that. It's my responsibility to show people how talented this person is.
But it makes you feel good being able to do that.
It does.
And it shows as well how far you've come to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We're lucky that we can do that. It's such a nice place to be in.
Yeah.
And it's not all luck. You've put the work in to get there, to be able to do that, Kath.
Oh, absolutely.
So, Kath, for anyone listening right now, someone who might be maybe in university, someone who might be working in a job, but on the side they're doing something really lovely with art, maybe, or embroidery, or whatever, cartoons, whatever it might be, or even if they're a music maker or someone who's got a skill and they're thinking, I'd love to do that as a business full time and leave this job that I don't like and I want to get in. What's the biggest thing you'd say to them? And you can be any age, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, I've known 60, 70-year-olds leave work and go and create a business within something completely different from a love that they've got. Yeah. What would you say to that person?
Oh gosh, I think I would say one thing I won't say is just kind of go for it, because I don't think that's very helpful.
Yeah.
So there are people, we've had come into the shop because we did have these things called open call days pre-COVID, which were going to start up again. And in those days, we invited people to come and they could come and see me and some of my colleagues and sit down and show us their work and maybe get some feedback if they felt like, do you know what, I'm almost at that stage now where I'm ready to approach shops, or they might just be unsure of how to do that. Well, what I would say to those people, and what I did say to those people at the time, is make sure that you are offering a product that is ready to be sold. So understand your brand. What is your branding? You need to be very clear about that. So it's if you're really good at, you mentioned maybe embroidery, what's your angle that's going to kind of set you apart? Do you specialize in one particular colorway? Do you have your own maybe color scheme that makes it completely unique to you? Just think about these things. What is your unique selling point in that way? I'd also, again, like I mentioned to you, maybe have a go doing some markets, listen to that customer feedback. Please don't take personally feedback. I've had some people say some really strange things over the years when they've picked up my work, and people will always find something. Some people feel a need to find something they don't like about things. That's fine. Leave it to them. Don't take it personally. And I've got so many friends who they talk about imposter syndrome and they get put off by thinking, do I deserve this? Am I good enough for this? And I say, do not listen to imposter syndrome. It lies to you. It is not your friend. So leave it in the drawer where it should be. And just, if you feel, and I think you do have that gut instinct where when you have something that can succeed, prove it to yourself.
I love that. Do you know what? With that, Kath, we can finish. Imposter syndrome's a great thing to mention there and throw in. And I've got to say as well, a lot of creatives do suffer with that and do struggle with that. Yeah. It's easy to get in your own head. I do it every day, every single day. I've got some level of imposter syndrome. I'm sure you have. Yeah. We all do. It's just learning how to manage that, isn't it? To push through and just taking that one step. Yeah. To say, right, I'm not letting you beat me today. I am going to do this. Yes. And doing it and making that little small step. I think as well what you say there about getting in and testing your product at a market or something. What a great way to test your business. Yeah. If only we could all do that. I know. So in a way, if you are a maker, you've kind of got a great opportunity there ahead of many. Like, you've got it. If you think about it, a gardener can't go and say, "Oh, can I test myself out on your hedge?" you can't do that. But so you have got a good opportunity to do that. And again, one thing I'd add in is social media to get the word out there. Of course, get the message out there. Absolutely. And there is, I'd say, get to know your community as well. Find that community of people who will support you and you support them. That's one benefit of being in the creative industries is people they're so open. You want to support each other. And another thing I would say is collaboration. So very quickly, collaboration is something that can really raise your profile. Absolutely. If you work with, maybe you work on a product with another illustrator, well, of course, then it makes sense. You've got both of your audiences then who are going to be told about this product, twice the amount of views that you're going to get on social media just showing this product alone. So collaboration's another big one as well. Well, listen, we're gonna get into the nest. If anyone's listening and hasn't been, just go. She's always in as well. Her mum's sometimes there too.
My mum's there today.
Yes,
yes.
She looks after this. She's lovely.
And she's very good. She's very important. She helps keep me organised as well. She's very good.
But you'll go in and you'll see what I mean, and you'll see just that utter, just like kind of love for what she does shine through every product, every display, that window especially, and everything else that you'll find at the Nest on the Albert Dock. A new website coming soon too. Follow her on socials, Kath Caldwell. In my cheesy outro that I've got to do during this podcast, you are officially nailing it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Dave.
Kath.
What a pleasure.